Wundanyi constituency. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Mcharo. Feel free, rest. We are friends, we are not enemy, so feel free.
I, Mcharo Mwalugha, do hereby swear to testify on all matters in question and tell this committee the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Mcharo, tell this vetting committee about yourself and based on your academic qualifications.
Thank you, Chair. Members, my name is Mcharo Mwalugha. I was born in 1967. I schooled 1975 to 1981, Sungululu Primary. Then proceeded to Kenyatta High School for my O-levels, 1982 to 1985. Then after that, during those days, there was A-level. So I went further for A-level studies at Mangu High School. That is 86 and 87, where I got the certificate for advanced level. And then remember that time there was pre-university training. So in 1988, I joined National Youth Service for 3 months. After that, when I completed the in-service, the pre-service training at the NYS Training College in Gilgil, I then joined the University of Nairobi in 1988 October, pursuing Bachelor of Science degree in Agriculture, General Agriculture, which I went through to 1991 when we graduated in 1992. Thereafter, I joined Mudundonyi Secondary as a teacher, employed by BOM, then transferred later under TSC to Kitumbi Secondary in Mugamboni. After that, the Minister of Agriculture, that is the central government, admitted me as an extension officer to Kilifi. So I joined the Minister of Agriculture in 1993 in Kilifi, where I worked until 2001. By then, a parastatal by the name, Mr. Chair, a parastatal by the name Coast Development Authority, you may be aware of it, was within the same Ministry of Regional Development, Regional and Rural Development. So I transferred services. I moved from Minister of Agriculture and joined Coast Development Authority in 2001 as an agriculture manager, but I was lucky to be posted to Taita Taveta as the county coordinator. By then it was district coordinator for CDA services in Taita Taveta. So I worked here in Taita Taveta for 9 years up to 2009. Then I was transferred back to Mombasa, where I was promoted as a manager, agriculture services for all the 6 coastal counties and the Jara, where I worked until 2015, early 2015. Early 2015, I decided to move on and seek other pastures. So I jumped out of government completely and joined the NGO world, where I was employed by Family Health International in a program that was supported by USAID in 2015 January, where I worked for 5 years until 2019 December. The program ended. We were waiting for some extension. As usual, normally there is a 1 year, 2 year extension, Mr. Chair. It never happened because of Corona. Everybody knows about COVID-19. So 2020, I came back home. I stayed here. Unfortunately, some unfortunate thing happened. Then we lost our MCA for Wundanyi Mbale, Honorable Beatrice, God rest her soul. Then I found it was an opportunity again to serve my people at that level, because I've always wished and sought to serve my people at the grassroots to see what is it that I can do for them. So I gave it a shot during the by-elections of 2020. So 2020 December, we went through the by-election. I was lucky. I was pronounced the winner. So I became the MCA for Wundanyi Mbale in January 2021. That's when I was sworn in here. I continued for that short period of 1.5 years. Then there came the general elections in 2022, which I'm very sure made most of you be in this house. Unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you'll put it, I lost. And it happens. You can lose, you can win. So to my case, I got the shorter end of the stick. So I lost. And then I was just there at home. Now looking for employment opportunities and doing my own things. There are so many other things I was doing, of course, interacting with the people, doing so many things outside there in private capacity. Then all of a sudden, the new government came into force, Taita Taveta County. Then I applied for CEC, agriculture, because I had the qualifications. I was not lucky to get the CEC. Then I applied for CCO. Fortunately, God of mercy remembered me, and I got that opportunity, and I think that is why I'm here for this vetting today. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you so much. On the same, why you think you are the best nominee suited for this appointment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My history in agriculture and community development dates back since 1993. I feel I'm best suited for this position because of the experience. I have the knowledge, I have the skills, I have the requisite experience, having gone through various institutions at different levels, from grassroots level as an extension officer, as a trainer, doing some consultancies at the same time, rising up to the level of a manager, both in government, mainstream government, parastatal, and NGO. So, Mr. Chair, I feel with 26 years of experience in agriculture and community development, I understand government policy, I understand the legislation, I understand investment, I understand community problems. I know the teething problems in agriculture, Mr. Chair, mostly because I've interacted with communities in agriculture in 46, let's say 45 counties in this country. So I don't think there is anything that I will come across in Taita Taveta that at least I've not gone through in the last 26 years. And having been here, working with CDA and mostly in agriculture activities for 9 years, I know every corner of this county. I know most of the problems these farmers face. And since I live here and I work here and I travel along in this county, I feel I'm best suited to change and reverse the trend in agriculture in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me call upon Usik Shamba to ask the next question.
Good afternoon, Steve. My name is Duncan Ongama Mukufu, MCA Usik Shamba Ward, member of agriculture. I have one question for you. In case this vetting committee approves your nomination, do you have any conflict of interest considering you have served in this house for the period of 2021-2022 and your political inclination thereof? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Wangama. I hope, is it Wangama? I'm correct, eh? I don't think, in my view, I will have any conflict of interest. One is because I was not born a politician, okay? I joined politics because of the interest I had in serving my people at this level, at what level. And now that I'm getting into my agriculture profession, I don't think I'll have any business again with the politics. I feel that I should serve my people now in my capacity as an agronomist, as an agriculture officer, and help them uplift their living standards and lives. So the issue of conflict of interest as far as politics is concerned with this house, and having been here, I used to sit behind there, I don't think it will arise. And in case it arises, then I will stand to be reminded. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me call upon Honorable Lilian Kidali to ask the next question.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Lilian Kidali, member of Agriculture Committee. Congratulations on your vetting, on your nomination. Outline to this vetting committee 4 functions devolved to the county government as stipulated in the 4th schedule, part 2 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010. Outline to this vetting committee 4 functions devolved to the county government as stipulated in the schedule, in the 4th schedule, part 2 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010.
Thank you, Honorable Kidali. Of course, we are quite aware that after promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, there are certain functions that were devolved and others remained with the national government. Others were shared. However, agriculture was devolved as a department or as a unit, and among the functions that were devolved in the agriculture sector were plant, or we can call it crops if you like, but plant is more general, which is better. Plant and animal husbandry, that includes production, includes all matters of control of those processes for crop production, as well as animal husbandry, and that goes hand in hand with, of course, breeding and control of the quality of products, both crops and livestock produce. Extension Service happens to also be there because they provide advisory services for both livestock, fisheries, and crops. The other function that is related to that, we have animal, that is livestock and crop diseases, which was also devolved. It is no longer controlled by the national government. So we have crop and animal disease control. It was also devolved so that it can be handled by the counties. And it was a good idea because it could not be left outside there. If we are doing husbandry, then we should be the ones handling disease and pest control too. The other one that was devolved was fisheries. The fisheries unit was devolved and handed over to the counties. So all matters to do with fisheries husbandry in terms of production, in terms of control, in terms of marketing, and any other related issue with the fisheries, all that was devolved to the counties, and that is why even this department, you're calling it something and fisheries. Then the other function that was devolved was the issue of slaughterhouses. Slaughterhouses were devolved. You can call them abattoirs, but abattoirs are at a higher level. But these ones were also devolved, and they were brought down to the county government. So the county government is responsible for controlling all the slaughterhouses, and of course that goes with meat inspection and all that. That is done by the vet department. Then the last function that was devolved again within this was animal marketing, that is through the livestock sale yards and all that. Those ones no longer belong to the national government. So if we have our own marketing yard in Marungu, for instance, where Honorable Nzai comes from, then it will be the responsibility of the county government to ensure that it is working and it is in good shape to benefit the wananchi. Basically, those are the devolved functions for the agriculture department. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes to Honorable Kinyili.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Bwana Stephen. Yeah, my name's Anthony Kinyili, MCA Chalawad. Can you outline to this vetting committee 2 national and 2 county legislation related to agriculture, livestock, and fisheries?
Thank you, Mr. Kinyili. You say one national, and two county. One, of course, we have the Agriculture, Fisheries, and Food Authority Act. This act was formulated and replaced the former Agriculture Act, Cap 318, which we used to work with. It was very familiar with us. But 2013, after promulgation of the new constitution, there came in the Agriculture, Fisheries and Food Authority Act that repealed Chapter 318. So that is one of the acts that we are working with. The other one at national level related to agriculture, we have the Agriculture Act. It was a policy. Later on, they turned it into an act. Agriculture Livestock Policy of 2019. That is also a piece of legislation that guides marketing, production, that is livestock production and marketing of their products. And that policy guides entirely the entire industry of livestock at that level. And it is from these pieces of legislation at the national level that you, honorable members, mostly borrow from, as advised by the Constitution, to domesticate our own county legislation so that we can work in conformity and in line with the national legislation. So those are the two pieces I can cite, because the rest were bundled up together in that AFA. That AFA Act combined all of them. Most of them were repealed, and then that one remained. So you'll find that most of the acts were combined and compounded into that AFA Act. At the county level, we have pieces of legislation that were developed by the County Assembly, of course, since 2013. What I'm not very sure is whether some of them have been assented to by the governor, maybe, but some of them have not. We have a piece of legislation in the name of slaughterhouse management and development, slaughterhouses for Taita Taveta. That's an act of the County Assembly of Taita Taveta. We have another one in the name of the artificial insemination management, that is services management for Taita Taveta. We have another piece of legislation on fruits, and that is fruits and nuts Development Authority development. That's also a piece of legislation by the county government of Taita Taveta. We are just hoping that then we have the Livestock Movement Act for Taita Taveta. We are just hoping that those four pieces of legislation I have mentioned have been assented by the governor, and will go a long way in helping our community uplift their agriculture productivity, both in crops and...
Please outline and briefly explain the gain, challenges, and future of devolution. I repeat, outline and briefly explain the gains, challenges, and future of devolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kabuki. Of course, we are quite aware about devolution. We as legislators and the common public know what devolution was all about. It was about bringing services closer to the people. And more so, it was about devolving decision making. And when it devolved decision making, it also went ahead with the devolution of resources. That is why we claim the 15% of the government revenue to come to the counties. So the gains that we can say have been achieved so far, or we are in the process or in the course of achieving, are the devolution of decision making, because we can make our own decisions and particularly through the element of public participation, which we are all quite aware of. Secondly, we can decide on what to do with our resources, the resources we are given. We can decide on what to do with them. The other gain is revenue generation. We control our own revenue sources. We develop them. We generate the revenue. We use them according to the law for our own benefit, except for those sectors where we have issues that the national government controls the revenue and incomes, like the national parks, the mining, and the others. But most of the others, we get them directly and we can make use of them. The other gains, of course, you see, issues like CDF has come in handy because it's also assisting us get bursaries for our children. Also, the county government awards bursaries to our children, so that's also a gain. Something that never used to happen. Like when I was growing up, of course, we come from a humble background, but I was not able to get bursary. The only bursary I got was 500 shillings from County Council of Taita Taveta. So nowadays, everybody who applies for CDF can be able to get a bursary. So that is also a gain we can see from devolution. Challenges, I don't know whether I've enumerated enough because it was an open statement. I've given what probably I feel about decision making, resource use, and probably investment opportunities and other benefits you get that is from the decentralized system of government. For challenges, there is nothing that is purely good without challenges and setbacks. We have a lot of challenges with this devolution. One, I think devolution in itself was hurriedly implemented. That is why we have different levels of development for different counties. You can't compare, for instance, maybe Marsabit with another county like Busia. You can't compare other counties. You can't take one county and compare it with the other, simply because the level at which they were caught up by this devolution wheel was different. So, according to me, one of the challenges is the preparedness. Not all the counties are prepared for devolution. If they were given an opportunity so that we stagger the implementation, that is, we assess through some criteria, and then maybe out of the 47, we start with devolving 6, then we devolve another 10, then we devolve another 15 until 47. Because right now, we are having those challenges. Some counties have not taken off properly in terms of decision making and resource management. Education level of the different people is another challenge within the counties. It's different. You'll find that maybe Marsabit, those disadvantaged arid counties, Mr. Chair, they may be disadvantaged because they may not have a resource pool for tapping to get quality human resource. So from 2013, they had problems. That's why you would find probably a county had 15 people who had degrees, for instance, or maybe diplomas. So, and maybe they had vacancies for something like 50 vacancies that require diploma and above. So such counties were disadvantaged because they continued relying on imported sources of, which is not a bad idea. It's a good idea, but I think I'm trying to explain the different levels of development for different counties. There are others that had plenty and they were overstaffed with those resources. So those are the different levels of resource endowment for different counties. Another challenge is within the county, normally it happens naturally as a human being. If I'm employed and I see an opportunity in my area of work, you might be tempted as a human being to employ your nephew or your uncle or your cousin or even your own child. It has happened, it happens. They call it nepotism, if you want to use that word. That's a challenge again. These are things that are in black and white. So there are things we are facing, there are things we are meeting as challenges in the counties, and they are the result of devolution because it never used to happen like that. So that's part of the challenges. The other challenge again is resource use. Resource use in terms of some some counties are disadvantaged. They don't have a lot of resources for investment. Just like Taita Taveta County, we happen to fall in that bracket. We don't have beach hotels. We don't have airports. We are not endowed with a lot of things that can generate a lot of income for us. So we have to create our own. We have to think of a way of creating our own investment so that you can be able to generate income. So we are at different levels again, and that's a challenge to those counties that do not have that kind of resource pool. Probably that could be enough elaboration on that because of time. The future of devolution. The future devolution squarely lies on leadership. There is no miracle that is going to happen in this devolution. We just need to have a committed leadership to devolution. It's a very good idea. Devolution in itself is very good. But the implementation is where the problem is. So with the proper leadership from the top, and we are talking from the top to bottom, that is all the way from the national government down to the sweeper at the county. If only we are committed, we just committed to transparency, to merit, whatever you outline in chapter 6 and the values of governance. If we are committed to that and the rule of law and morality and humanity, then devolution is a very good piece of change that we should even admire. So in the future, we expect that maybe we continue educating our people on leadership, integrity, and values so that with time they change. But I'm seeing the future of devolution being very bright with that clause for as long as we have the right leadership and people who are committed to serving the people at the bottom of the pyramid, because they're the ones to whom devolution was devolved, or to whom this devolution thing was targeted. But unfortunately, I know the majority, anybody who has drawn a pyramid in standard 3 knows standard 4, you know very well the guys at the bottom, they support the top, there are many, but sometimes they don't benefit much. So the future of devolution for these base of the pyramid, for the poor Mwananchi, is very bright, but it depends on those few at the top of the pyramid. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mcharo. Please consider time so that you can answer all the questions. Be brief. So I'll take this initiative to ask you another question. The banana processing plant in Taita Taveta is an issue of concern to the AU donor. The county government and residents of Taita Taveta County, what plans do you have to ensure value for money for this project and any other donor-funded projects in the county?
Thank you. I'll be very brief on that. Of course, you have heard and we know about the banana plant in Taveta. Very good initiative, which was partnership between the EU and the county government. Those initiatives are welcome, and we look forward even to more through partnership and the PPP arrangement that we have not actually exploited as a county. As far as the banana plant is concerned, I think the teething problems could easily be unearthed if we look at from the beginning, what happened, what were the agreements, what is it that was put on the table between the county government and the EU. Then we find out where did we drop the ball? At what point did we lose this? So at that point where we lost this ball, we dropped this ball, then we can pick it up from there. Nothing is lost because we have the records, we have data, we have everything. So it's very easy to rectify this. And of course, we go back to the donor and talk to him and tell him the truth about what happened, probably. If anything happened, I believe everything was smooth up to a point when that plant stalled for one reason or the other. Well, once we identify the cause of this stagnation, then we do a roundtable discussion with the donor and with the county government, then we unravel this maze and we have the program running. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question 4-2 goes to Honorable Wangama.
Thank you, Chair. What plans do you have to ensure the county enhances adoption of climate resilient agriculture owing to the harsh climatic conditions experienced across the county and country? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Wangama. We are all victims of climate change, all of us inside here. And it's not our fault. It's a global thing, and it's something that we have to live with, but we need to find solutions to it. So what there is our farmers have not accepted that there is climate change. So the mindset of our farmers is still in the past. They are not living today, they are living in the past. We need to inform them. They need to be talked to so that they can have a mindset change. Unfortunately, the Extension Service has not been very active in most counties after devolution. So it becomes very difficult for people to hammer sense into these farmers so that we have them change their attitudes such that those who are producing maize, for instance, and maize does not do in their areas, they need to change. You just need to change to something else that can work in their areas of operation. For instance, the ones who are producing maize, there is something we call production by comparative advantage. Production by comparative advantage is we encourage and support farmers to produce what they can produce maximally. So if Mugamboni people can produce bananas or maybe cabbage, then we put all the thrust in the cabbages from Mugamboni. If we go to Mwatate and we find that it is mangoes that can do because of the problems with rains and whatever, or maybe green grams and whichever crops and maybe some chicken, then we do that and fully support those farmers. They should not produce maize. Let the other guys produce maize maybe in Taveta and sell the maize to the people in Mwatate. And we do the same also to Taveta people. If there is bananas and probably onions and tomatoes, and maybe maize does not do well because of climate change issues and any other, then we support those farmers to fully produce whatever they can produce. So we produce basically on the basis of comparative advantage. Those who can produce something, they do it maximally. And then they sell, get income for food security, because after all, guys are running after food security and income. But of course, you can get food security through purchase or through physical production or through other means of getting those products. So what I'm saying is, they just need to be talked to so that they accept that it's climate change. We need to move and accept those products that can do well in certain areas where we have challenges and farmers probably cannot take up. Then we encourage them to do bits, maybe half an acre of this, half an acre of that. Eventually, they will have mindset change because they will see things happening for themselves. The maize will fail here and green grams will do because the rains only came for 3 weeks. So with the time, in 2-3 years, you'll find that farmers changing by themselves. I've done it before. I've done it in other counties. It has worked. And it's very possible for it also to work in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes to Honorable Dorcas.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Dorcas Mwalugha. I'm a member of this committee, and I have a question for you. What plans do you have to make sure that Taita Taveta County is incorporated in the blue economy? And where do we practice this, more so in Taita Taveta?
Thank you very much, Madam Dorcas. We know that blue economy is a new kid on the block. It never used to be there, but recently it was introduced as part of the sectors within the government, and we know very well that the National Executive Order has blue economy as part of its sectors and a whole ministry from that. Blue economy does not involve only the seas as people mistake it. It is not only sea and it is not only oceans, no. It also includes the inland water sources. It also includes rivers, and also it goes ahead and includes the riparian reserves that sometimes may not even have any water, like the swamps and what have you. So for Taita Taveta, we can still benefit a lot from the blue economy package. We can still benefit a lot from the blue economy initiatives, because we have bodies like Lake Chala. Lake Chala is a pure blue economy source that can attract support from different partners. We have like Jipe, we have rivers like even this Voi River. And when you're talking about that, don't forget that we're talking about even if the rivers are drying, the blue economy has capacity and potential and target to reverse that trend. What is it that we can do so that we revive this Voi River, this Undanyi River that goes down to Voi? And then on top of that, we can create our own blue economy sources. We don't have to rely on the God-given blue economy. Those ones we maintain and ensure that we sustain them and maybe revive them just in case they are collapsing or dying. But we can create our own, like for instance, these gorges that we have. God has gifted us with gorges, very good gorges. Take a case like the Dembo Gorge, Dembo to Kipusi, it's only monkeys and baboons that are playing in that gorge. Why can't we have proper arrangements and initiatives to dam that place? We just dam that. We create check dams, about 3 of them, 3 check dams down to Kipusi, and we collect enough water. That is some blue economy source. And every other place, I'm just giving that as an example. If you go to Anganga, it is the same up to Msau. If you go to Morocco, the other side, if you go this side of Chabia, we have so many sources where we can create our own blue economy sources. And in fact, there may be more than even the existing ones like Lake Jipe and Lake Chala that have a lot of complications like Lake Chala because of the cross-border issues. So why can't we create our own within and then have our own blue economy sources? And we exploit that. Then we channel that. It rains. We have to thank God because it rains in Taita Taveta. When it rains, we tap that water. And we can work through the PPP model. It is there in the Act. The County Government Act, I think Section 5, allows for PPP arrangement. County government to partner with the private sector and other partners to be able now to create such dams. And we can go through the BOT, that is build, operate, and transfer. We give that person that dam to run that dam for maybe 10 years, sell the water at subsidized price to the farmers in Mwatate and wherever they come from, and eventually you'll find that we benefit from the blue economy, we generate income out of that, and our farmers will be food secure, and they will have a lot of investment out of that water. Because it rains, let's tap this water, let's harvest it, and create our own blue economy sources. Thank you.
Through the chair, just a matter of curiosity, how would you explain blue economy in layman's language? Because not everybody understands what blue economy is. Unless you've worked maybe in a fisheries industry, you'd understand what blue economy is. But if you've never been there, not everybody can explain what blue economy is. Please explain to this house, what exactly is blue economy?
Blue economy is an initiative that relates to development of water-related resources. Water-related resources means what I described earlier. They may be an actual water body, they may be potential water bodies, they may be resources within a water body that is existing, and they may be resources that can be brought, like maybe we introduce fish in a river. That is still part of blue economy initiative. So blue economy, generally, it is a very wide thing that has not been exploited yet, and it can create a lot of vibrancy when it comes to economic benefits to our people, for as long as we understand that it is not only the ocean, it is not only the Lake Chala and Lake Jipe. We can have a lot of blue economy activities within, even in Kishushe. If you wanted to create a dam in Kishushe, we'll have a blue economy something in Kishushe and in Bololo. I don't know whether, Madam, I've explained or I'm grappling. Maybe it's because, I don't know. Is it clear?
Not quite. Not quite. Because you're an expert in this field.
Yes.
And matters of blue economy are very intense.
Yeah.
But in relation to the definition of blue economy, as what was given in the launch of blue economy, I think 3 years ago, you've not given a proper description. But I might forgive you for today. Maybe any institution you have in mind that you'd collaborate with or you'd work with to make sure that blue economy is effective in Taita Taveta.
Of course, there is a whole secretariat at the Council of Governors. That is an institution that we can use because it's the one that is tapping. It is tapping from outside sources for the different counties. We have the national fisheries institution that is dealing with the matters of blue economy. We have an entire ministry in the country that is handling blue economy issues. So we can partner with most of these institutions, including donors, for us to be able, particularly EU-based donors, for us to be able to tap and invest in this blue economy for the benefit of our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes to Honorable Lilian Kidali.
Thank you, Chair. What plans do you have to facilitate effective extension of services across the county? What plans do you have to facilitate effective extension of services across the county?
Thank you, Honorable Kidali. Of course, for us, those who know what extension service is critical because it provides farmers with knowledge and skills for improved productivity. So it is out of an effective extension service that we can realize the goal of improved productivity, food security, food access, and food availability. So extension service since 2010, after devolution, that's 2013, after the counties came into force, somehow it went down and it is no longer very effective as it used to be before devolution. And it has been blamed on resources mostly, but all is not lost. We can still reclaim that lost glory. So, Honorable Kidali, in my view, or the way I would approach it would be reviving the extension service. We have to approach it in three ways. There is the normal government way where we pump in resources and we revive the extension service through using you can call it a bottom-up approach, whereby we support the grassroots extension staff, because that is where the rubber meets the road. But then there is also another way, whereby we can engage private partners to work with us for extension service, but it depends on these private partners. It has to be within the areas where they benefit. Like, for instance, if it is Bear East Africa, if it is OCP, for instance, if it is Cooper and they want to sell their products, then we can encourage them. We can write a proposal to them and they support our extension service. Again, there is another way we can approach it. That is the third way, is whereby we develop our own extension service through what we call, we start by developing, because right now we are having the very few extension staff down there. So farmers are not being reached by this staff. But what we can do is we create something similar to the CHVs. You remember the CHV story in Department of Health? They're quite ahead of us. That is why they are always getting information before us. We can do agricultural extension volunteers, a similar package. So long as you pass that piece of legislation at the county assembly, then we recruit those people. It will be a potential pool for future extension officers in case you wanted to recruit. But in the meantime, they work as volunteers. And don't forget, these volunteers, sometimes they are the ones who are used by these partners I've just talked about. So they'll be encouraged. They'll be motivated. But with time, they will be absorbed probably by the government. But in the meantime, they'll be providing this extension service to the farmers, because we have experts outside there who have graduated from agricultural and livestock institutions, but they have nowhere to practice. They have nowhere to pass their skills, and there are no institutional frameworks to absorb them, like having the community agriculture volunteer unit. So they'll be volunteering, but for once in a while, they can get some small package or token that can support them. So those are the three ways we can revamp the extension service, and that goes along together with that's fisheries, livestock, as well as crops. When you talk about extension service, it covers the entire, the 5 directorates. Thank you.
Thank you. Be brief, Mr. Jimmy. So next question goes to my vice, Honorable Kifuso.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Newton Kifuso Salim, the vice chair of this committee. I pose the following question. The second county assembly, which you are part of, considered the animal identification and traceability system regulations for the purpose of the management of information on animal identification and traceability. In your opinion, what are the challenges surrounding tracing of the livestock and illegal herding, or you can call it grazing? Allow me to repeat. The second assembly which you are part of considered the animal identification traceability system regulations for the purpose of management of information on animal identification and traceability. In your opinion, what are the challenges surrounding tracing of livestock and illegal grazing? Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair. That was a very informative piece of legislation as far as controlling this, the movement of animals and tracing the whereabouts or probably even illegal livestock in our county. I'll go straight to what the chair just said, that I be straight to the point. Challenges. The challenges of tracing it is because of, one, we know that human beings are always dodgy, and they are dodgy for their own benefits. One, they will find a way of going around this because it is a chip. This animal tracing is a chip that is placed. In fact, they started by tagging. Tagging will not work. A chip has to be planted within the animal if it has to work. And then we trace. We just have to have a system. We have a system that traces this animal wherever it is, so that if you have an animal that does not have that chip, or that does not, it is not within our database, then we know it's an illegal herd within our boundaries. The challenge we have with that is the continuous movement of livestock into our county without proper controls at the boundaries. So we may be able to track, and don't forget that we are rightly put it that it is tracking. We are tracking these animals because we have their data. If we have 100 animals in Sagala, then we can track these and we know where they're going and where they're coming from. But if a foreign animal that does not have our chip, does not have our identification, comes in from Garissa, for instance, just as an example, then even our tracker cannot be able to track them. So that would be one of the challenges. Now, it needs to have very strict enforcement at the boundaries so that we are able to get these illegal herders. An illegal herder, of course, is someone who is in the county illegally and grazing illegally. They do not have grazing rights, but they do that. And since the animals will not be tagged, we cannot track them. So the only thing we can be able to do is enforcement at the boundaries. We should not allow them in. And if we get them in, then we should have punitive legislation from the county assembly that makes them, the whole thing, unpalatable for them to even think of coming to Taita Taveta. Thank you.
Thank you. 5, 1, and 2. 2 questions.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Stephen Mcharo Mwalugha.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mwalugha.
I'm Joseph Kennedy Mwalugha. I chair Lands and Human Wildlife Conflicts Resolution, MCA Mwatati. I humbly request you to note down. I have 2 questions for you. Who is the current Chief Justice of Kenya, and name 3 Supreme Court judges? Supreme Court judges? 2. What is the national government long-term plan to tackle drought and food insecurity in the country? What is the national government long-term plan to tackle drought and food insecurity in the country? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mwalugha. I'll go straight to the first one. The Chief Justice for the Republic of Kenya is Honorable Martha Koome. 3 Supreme Court judges, we know there are a number, but since I've said 3, there is Honorable Smokin Wanjala, there is Honorable Joaquin Ndungu, there is Honorable I've mentioned 3. There is the Deputy Chief Justice, Madam Mwilu. On the second question, the national long-term plan for food insecurity, of course, you know, from the definition of food security is where everybody can access adequate and quality food at all times, something that is not happening, and it is in the Bill of Rights. Of course, you know, Section 43, which is very clear that everybody should have adequate food, but it's not happening. But Kenya, what's happening right now is they are banking on water harvesting. They are banking on water harvesting technologies for them to be able to do irrigation. So the future of food security in this country is through irrigation, and that is why the national government has promised 100 dams for a start, and then some other smaller dams. So in terms of food security, I can say, and when we talk about food security in Kenya, mostly they relate to crops. But these dams, as they explained, will also touch on provision of water to livestock. So once these dams are done, or water harvesting is done properly, then this country is expected to be food secure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes to Honorable Amos Makalo.
Thank you, Chair. Amos Makalo is my name. Good afternoon, our nominee.
On to you.
Thank you. I have 2 questions, and I can also advise you take note because I will read them concurrently, and then you can respond to them. My first question is, name the following. 1, the National Speaker, the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. 2, the Deputy Speaker of the Senate. 3, the Deputy Speaker of the County Assembly of Taita Taveta. On to my second question. Okay. That is the Deputy Speaker of the National Assemblies, the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, and the Deputy Speaker of Taita Taveta County. My second question. Mention 5 commissions established under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Mention 5 commissions, that is any 5 commissions established under the Constitution 2010. I hope I'm clear enough. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Makalo. The National Speaker is Honorable Moses Wetangula. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly is Honorable this lady. She was once in the High Court. Her name is escaping. Anyway, I remember probably in the course of time. Then I can't cheat you that I know the Deputy Speaker for the Senate, but of course I know the Deputy Speaker for the Taita Taveta County Assembly, Honorable Anselim, MCA for Mugange, Mwanda. Then, sorry? Yes, Chair.
Kindly mention his name, please.
Honorable Anselim Chow. Then commissions that were established after the promulgation of the Constitution, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, we have the Teacher Service Commission, of course, has been existing, the National Police Service Commission, we have the National Land Commission, we have the we have the Revenue Commission for Revenue Allocation. I think those are 5. Enough.
Kindly, Mr. Stephen Mcharo, repeat the last question.
The answers.
Yeah, the answers, yeah.
We have the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. We have the Teacher Service Commission, National Land Commission, National Police Service Commission, Commission for Revenue Allocation. Those are 5.
Thank you so much, our nominee members. Maybe we can give you like 2 minutes. Give us your part shot.
Thank you very much, Chair. First of all, I would like to say that I am delighted and happy. And I really have to thank you for allowing me to sit before this Honorable House for vetting. And I also have to thank His Excellency the Governor for allowing me to get this position as a nominee, then come for vetting. So as a parting shot, I'll just say that I wish you well, and I look forward to working with you once you people decide that I'm the right lives agriculture, which is a very wide docket having the 5 directorates. So I will need a lot of support from you, because we'll need some pieces of legislation that may not be there. We need to push a few things here and there for us to be able to realize the goals for this department. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Bwana Stephen Mcharo, our nominee, and congratulations for your nominee. You are so welcomed to this house. Let the best candidate win. We are so happy to have you here, and I think the meeting is adjourned. So